Welcome, everyone, especially to our AmeriCorps members and our alumni. Thank you all for your service. I also want to thank our grantees, the Serve Colorado staff, our federal AmeriCorps partners, and our leaders from state government who have joined in this morning. To those of you who are being sworn in today, I can hardly wait to see everything that you're going to accomplish. Your service is incredibly important. And there's over 850 of you that are going to be serving across Colorado this year. You're joining over 1 million that have gone before you, that have served through AmeriCorps. And I know you're going to have an incredible impact, especially in the areas of education, the environment, taking care of our public lands, improving health, and economic opportunity, and more. And you're AmeriCorps members, so I know that you're going to get things done. But it isn't only about the impact in those areas that I mentioned. You're serving in an incredibly difficult time right now, and we need you now more than ever. And I'm not just talking about the pandemic. We're right now in a time of incredible division across our country. And I truly believe that the power of service can restore our communities, can bring people together, and restore a sense of civic responsibility. So I thank you in advance for everything that you're going to do, and for all of our communities across Colorado, and also for our country. So thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to a friend and colleague, Summer Gaither-Cole, who is the chair of our Governor's Commission on Community Service. The commission does incredible work setting our strategic direction, forming partnerships, reviewing our grants, and really supporting everything that we do in Serve Colorado. So thank you, Summer, for being here today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks so much, John, and welcome everybody. I'm really excited to be here with you today. I wanted to share a little bit of my AmeriCorps journey. It's a little bit different than what maybe everyone else has experienced. And I'm going to go back to 2009. It was a time in my life where I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do next. It had been about 12 years since I had graduated from college. During that time, I had done some direct service, working mostly with homeless and low-income individuals to help prepare them for the workforce. I started and ran a nonprofit for a number of years. I also ran a DC government agency. And then I was trying to figure out what next? What is it that I want to do? And to be really honest, I was pretty lost. So I kind of got to a point where I said, you know what, I am going to go take a year off to travel the world and find myself. And I was living in DC at the time, and I got to the point where I found someone to rent my condo for a year. I found someone to watch my dog for a year. And I had my plane ticket reserved, and a one-way plane ticket to Africa. And I got a call out of the blue saying, hey, the current administration is working on their national community service plan. Could you come help us out with this? And quite frankly, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was the first time, although I had been familiar with AmeriCorps, the program, I wasn't necessarily as familiar with the federal agency that oversees the program. So that was my first foray into the real AmeriCorps world. And as part of that work in developing the strategy for community and national service across the US, I got to travel to a number of different places and actually see the program live in various parts of the country. And it was amazing, and it was fascinating, it was humbling, just this amazing experience about the amount of just good work and service that happens through AmeriCorps. When I was done with that project and then still trying to figure out what do I want to do next, somebody said, oh, you'd probably like Colorado. And so I said, I'm moving to Colorado. And I did, and I landed in Colorado, and I got a job as the state director for a nutrition education program, which was headquartered in Denver. But we were fortunate to be able to have kind of projects all over the state. And the only way that we could have a presence in, so many of those smaller communities across the state was because we were running an AmeriCorps program out of our office. And we had AmeriCorps members in all of these communities across Colorado. And I had a chance to go and visit with these communities and again, see just some of the amazing work that was being done. And it really brought home for me how many more people we could reach and how many more people were getting help about how to shop on a budget, how to cook healthy. I also learned a lot through that program, but we were able to meet the needs of so many smaller communities that we would not have been able to meet otherwise if it had not been for AmeriCorps. So it was a pretty easy decision that when I left that job and I wanted to stay involved with AmeriCorps, I asked to join the commission and I was fortunate to be accepted, and I've been on board for a couple years now, and just really love and value the program and all of the work that all of you are doing and will do, and just know how much it is appreciated. My 2 cents of unsolicited advice is to keep an open mind and try new things. I feel like there's been so many instances in my life, even recently, where people have said, hey, would you do this, or would you be interested in this? And I've kind of taken that leap and hope that the net would be there, and it always has. And because of that, I've had lots of really great, amazing experiences. So I want to encourage all of you to kind of keep that open mind and maybe take that leap as well. And also know that in the communities that you're serving, you are making a difference. And I can almost guarantee you that years from now, you'll hear from some of those communities unexpectedly, and they'll tell you what a difference your service has meant to them. So I want to just thank you all for, again, doing the great work. And I'm really excited to hand things over to Sarah Duran-Keen, who's our AmeriCorps representative today. Thanks, Sarah.
Hi, thanks so much, Summer. So I'd love to talk about my AmeriCorps journey. It's been a little different, I think, than some. As Summer said, my name is Sarah Duran-Keen, and this is my 3rd year serving with Colorado Reading Corps. I was born and raised here in Colorado, and I attended both college and paramedic school here. So I worked as a paramedic in the Denver metro area for a really long time before getting pretty burnt out. It's a tough job, and compassion fatigue is a pretty common thing. But one of the things I loved most was actively serving in my community. So I took a break and relocated to Northern California to work on my other background, which is education, specifically special ed. I realize it seems like quite a deviation from emergency medicine, but there are quite a few parallels in terms of teaching, community need, diverse demographics, and I was also well suited to work with medically fragile students. While I enjoyed my time in NorCal, Colorado has always held my heart, and I missed home. My father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and so I returned to help care for him. My brother owns a coffee shop in Northeast Denver, and I occasionally fill in when he's short-staffed. And it was August. I was still getting settled after returning home, and so it was truly serendipitous that a master coach from Reading Corps frequents that coffee shop. And she left a flyer on our community board, and it caught my eye. I pointed it out to my brother, and he laughed, responding that it sounded like a service tailor-made for me. I'm an avid reader and a lifelong learner. I don't own a TV, but I do own thousands and thousands of books, which I briefly regret every time I move. So I went home and did some research on AmeriCorps and applied that evening. In a flurry of emails and interviews through Thursday and Friday, I was offered a position, and I was ecstatic. I started Reading Corps Institute the following Monday, so it was very fast. Even though I'd researched AmeriCorps, I learned so much during Institute about NCCC and the extremely vast roles that and needs that are filled in domestic U.S. service. The last 2 service years have been pretty challenging. Both of my parents succumbed to cancer during each of my service terms. I've been incredibly grateful to my school community, my Reading Corps peers and staff, and my other community that I've built. Through heartbreak and adversity, it only strengthens my appreciation for this community and renews my commitment to add to it. I love my students, and it's incredibly gratifying to see them progress or exit the program, watching them develop a love for reading and discovery. And I might note, I dearly love to work ourselves out of jobs. Last spring, during the newness of COVID, we all learned new ways to create educational opportunities in ways that redefine flexibility. Building community is a really special thing, but it's hard. It's challenging to make new friends and develop a comfortable environment where you feel like you fit in. What does this mean to other Serve Colorado and AmeriCorps members? What's the motivation for serving not once or twice, but returning a 3rd year, or even some of my colleagues have been here for 4? It really boils down to some of my core fundamental values. and I should note that they are geared toward education based on my service. I believe that literacy should be a fundamental human right. There should be no disparity in between the haves versus have-nots. Colorado has an enormous dropout issue, which is changing due in large part to CYC and Serve Colorado. We have low test scores as a disproportionate number of our college-educated adults in our Colorado bubble. We desire to see change. It starts on a local level, student by student. And we all have the power to enact change, especially in our local communities. I love being part of something bigger. Serving is hard, and you're giving up a lot to contribute this year. I realize there are differences in serving in a rural versus urban community and the vast variety of service opportunities, whether you're indoors or out, serving in health issues or education. I challenge all of you to see the beauty and joy in what we're doing, confident that we are making a difference. We're actively changing our futures and the outcome of our nation as we help mold the next generation. These are the future decision makers of our world. We are doing amazing things and we get things done. Now we'll hear from Matt Brady with Great Outdoors Colorado. Matt?
Cool, thanks, Sarah. So again, this is Matt Brady coming to you live from my kitchen counter in Denver. Well, born in Southern California, I've called Denver home for the past 8 years. Like many of you, my start in service came a few years after college, likely a combination of, like Summer, thinking what's next, and a little hometown boredom drove me to apply for and accept a youth development position with Peace Corps Ukraine in 2011. On paper, Peace Corps, like AmeriCorps, can sometimes feel a little gray as to what you will actually do. I recall my sense of adventure outweighed my anxiety of the unknown. While I won't go into detail on what it's like to live in a tiny Ukrainian village, quite literally in the middle of nowhere, what I remember so vividly about my service is that community can be found and fostered everywhere, which makes up for the challenges along the way. Whether it was the faculty at the school I worked at, students who never missed English or run club, neighbors who somehow always knew where and what I was up to, or fellow Peace Corps volunteers making the same mistakes as me, personal and professional relationships I developed helped spark community projects I led and supported over the years. And yes, I was flying off the seat of my pants for much of it, but that's part of the fun. What I also took away from service is that finding community also takes time. Specifically, the importance to be open, listen, and show up to community invitations was critical. Flash forward 2 years, and an ungodly number of humid, frigid, and/or overcrowded bus rides later, I found myself wrapping up my service and again asking that same question: what's next? Well, it was actually a friend and fellow Peace Corps volunteer who suggested I look into AmeriCorps. She was an alumni herself and told stories that both felt so similar yet so different from my experience that was now wrapping up. I recall reflecting on my Peace Corps service and thinking that if I can find life-changing experiences and good people in rural Ukraine, I have so much still to see and learn from my own country. So in 2013, I accepted a team lead role with AmeriCorps NCCC in Denver, a city and state I had never been to. The role was different and meant living, sleeping, eating, and working with a team of 12, a far cry from the independent nature of my work abroad. But the communities in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Arizona my team was tasked to serve were people and organizations just trying to make things better and look to AmeriCorps members to help speed up the process. I found myself reciting the same things Peace Corps did to my fellow Corps members: get involved, listen, and show up when invited. And sometimes you invest and connect so much with the community that you decide to make it permanent. Which brings me to today, where I now manage outdoor recreation and conservation grants with Great Outdoors Colorado, a job and organization I fell into thanks to AmeriCorps. And I have to say, projects we fund in cities and small towns across the state often are the direct result of current serving members or the ripples of Colorado's vast alumni network still getting things done. While I hope I'm getting across that I didn't know, quite literally and figuratively, where service would take me, I felt good about what I woke up doing most days, tried to find the silver lining during the tough times, and placed trust in the communities and people I was there to serve. And somehow the dots over time began to connect. Some of you may be brand new to AmeriCorps, and some of you may be renewing your service term. And my advice to you is to err on the side of adventure, possibly now more than ever, and know community and good people can be found wherever service takes you, and you never know how those experiences will set in motion what's next. Thanks. And with that, the SERVE team would like to share a video.
To laugh often and much. to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded.
I hope you all enjoyed that little video and saw the new AmeriCorps logo in there. So now it's my great pleasure to turn it over to the main event. And as we move forward, I'd like to turn it over to Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. As you may know, Serve Colorado is part of the Lieutenant Governor's office, and we really couldn't have a better leader and a champion for us. And so I'd like to turn it over now to the Lieutenant Governor to lead us through with some remarks and our swearing in. Lieutenant Governor.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you all for having me today. As John said, I'm Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. You know, service can take on many forms and can have a profound impact on our communities, and I love the video we just saw. So the service that you are undertaking provides critical support to communities, big and small, throughout all of Colorado. As our state continues to respond to the COVID-19 global pandemic, your service is even more significant. Your commitment to helping others will have a ripple effect. The impact will be felt not just today or tomorrow or next week, but for years to come. And I think we've heard that today from some of our presenters. So thank you for pledging to assist Colorado communities in this time of need. You are dedicating your energy to serve with people rather than for them, building a sense of community along the way. So I encourage you to find your place in that community and see where it may lead you. Many of you don't know, but my daughter, Darcy, served as an AmeriCorps member in Boulder County with the I Have a Dream Foundation. She served in an 8th grade classroom, providing enrichment activities both in the classroom and after school, ensuring that her students received consistent support that would set them up for success. One of her very favorite students at the time was a 12-year-old boy named Kenny. My daughter's commitment to service and volunteerism rubbed off on Kenny. So after graduating from the University of Colorado, Kenny became an AmeriCorps member himself, supporting the same program in Boulder that had supported him. However, the story doesn't end there. I was so impressed by Kenny's commitment to service and his upbeat attitude that after reconnecting and starting my term as Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Colorado, that I hired him as my executive assistant. So I share this story not only to show how AmeriCorps touched my life, but to illustrate the multiplier effect that kindness and service to others can have on those around you. You never know who your service will inspire. In addition to Kenny, I actually have 8 other AmeriCorps alumni on my team, all of whom are proud of the lasting impact they made on local communities during their time of service. So, as we recite the AmeriCorps Pledge together, remember that one small pebble can make a mighty ripple for change. So, wherever you are, please join me in reciting the AmeriCorps Pledge. I will get things done for America to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier. I will bring Americans together to strengthen our communities. Faced with apathy, I will take action. Faced with conflict, I will seek common ground. Faced with adversity, I will persevere. I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond. I am an AmeriCorps member, and I will get things done. So, AmeriCorps, I was told recently, was created for times like these. National service and volunteerism shows the best of the American spirit. People turning toward problems instead of away from them, working together to find community solutions. So during these unprecedented times, we are reminded that if we persevere together, we can get things done. So thank you all for joining me this morning. I can't wait to hear about the great things you will accomplish for our state. And thank you for your service during this really critical moment in our shared history.